Shaq was on top of his game. You know, they were winning every year. So Coach Nelson and Donnie had the idea, okay, you're going to guard Shaq. And I kind of looked at it and I was like, okay, is this a joke? I mean, the game starts right away. He, of course, kind of seals me. I get around, lob comes, Sean comes. He basically elbows us both out of the way and dunks it as hard as he could. Of course, the plan didn't work at all. So that was my Shaq story. I tried to guard him, and he left the game with 46 and probably 24.
Last time you guarded that?
Yeah, that was the only time I ever guarded Shaq.
Prime, he was the hardest player to guard, period.
He was the most dominant center in the world back then.
Luckily, I didn't have to guard him very much. But the very few times that I did, it was painful.
He had me about 200 pounds, and I had not a chance in life of stopping him.
Yeah, what was your first impression of Shaquille?
Rush. He went at me. Big fella, the putback. They wanted in the cylinder on the Rocket bench. That's why you don't leave definitely in the cylinder.
The rhino on there, on the court to play against. A couple of years ago I went to Africa to see a real rhino, but it's not much of a difference.
Nah, I know Shaq's today. I mean, unless you're playing Joel Embiid or Jokic or something, but nah, ain't nobody banging like that. Like, I'll probably expend more energy chasing little guards around than banging in this series. I mean, you still got to box out and rebound and stuff, but I ain't just like posting up and bodying me every time, so nah. Thank God Shaq ain't in this series though.
Shaq, you couldn't go Draymond on Shaq. Shaq used to force you to have 2 to 3 bigs on your roster. So immediately you lost depth on the perimeter because you had to have 2 or 3 bigs because you were gonna have to foul him 18 times.
Yeah.
Like,
he's just fouling people out.
I caught 05 Shaq. I didn't catch.
I caught 01 Shaq, bro.
I caught 05 Shaq, and like you look at video and you're like, damn, he's so big. As a human being, he's not supposed to move like that.
He's this funny, jovial guy, but in between those lines, I mean, he's not playing around.
Shaquille, fade away.
He played with such a viciousness. I've watched him put centers to shame.
I can remember one time I almost got a tip dunk on Shaq. Low lie, no lie. So we on the free throw line, and Shaq didn't think like I'm there. I guess he not thinking I'm gonna go. I went and I had it. And so like when he saw what was about to happen, Shaq just lifted his arm. Like I went all the way home. And so afterwards he turned to me and looked at me like, don't ever do that again. He's like, you lucky I like you. I could have hurt you right there. He's like, you caught me off guard. I didn't think you, but like, just like that, just speaking to the strength that this man, like he was, like you didn't want to get in his way, period.
Rejected O'Neal. O'Neal runs the floor, takes it all the way.
It's scary. This is the dude though. You know what I mean? Even though you got that mentality, this is that one that you really admire and respect as dominant on both ends of the court. And I used to brag to my friends a lot and say, like after we played the Lakers, I get to the crib and be like, yo, you seen how I laid Shaq, then you know what I mean? Like, you seen Shaq try to get that and I put that thing hop off the glass on him, you know what I mean? And that gave me added confidence to myself, to whereas I felt like if I could score over Shaq, I could score over anybody. You know what I mean? Because I wanted to be Lil Shaq on the basketball court.
I was playing in New York, right? We're up. I know he probably went out the night before, so I'm like, I'm not gonna say shit, right? I'm gonna just let this game go by. Third quarter comes and he's doing okay. They're down 6. He looks at me, it's like, okay, good game, Lil Fry. We gotta win this now. And just
Lil Fry.
And it basically fucks me up for the whole quarter. Like, there's no fouling. There's no imagine trying to foul a tree moving like a cat and just dunk after hook shot after dunk. It's just impossible to move a human that big and that he's mean.
You know
That's
those
another
flybys?
problem.
You know those flybys you try and do?
Yeah.
Like, and this is, first of all, if they called a foul every time you actually fouled Shaq, like there were times he would dunk smack his arm, and the referee wouldn't even call it. That's fact. But you would do a flyby, like just trying to like, hey, I'm coming to help. And he would be like, watch it, little fella. If you put your hand there, I'll break your wrist. And you're like,
oh, he's
Stop
telling
it.
you.
you're like, no, what? He was
Middle of the game?
If his,
middle of the game.
body and you try to block a ball and there's a rim right there, a metal bar, he'll
He
break
said,
your
I'll
wrist.
try and break your
No,
wrist.
he goes, I will break your wrist. He goes, better watch your hand, I'll break your
Imagine
wrist.
somebody the size of Gobert with like
150
a Giannis
pounds.
attitude.
Yeah.
Like, me and you, I'm gonna win this every single time. There's no
Roger Mason. What's that big guy?
And you were 230 trying to guard him?
because everyone else fouled out. We had Eddie Curry fouled out, Jerome James fouled out. We had me, we had David Lee, and everyone was like, "Who wants this?" I was like, "Damn."
Most dominant big man?
Not even most dominant
Ever?
Physically, yes. Like Kareem, like let's not disrespect. Like you couldn't do shit with Kareem either, or Wilt and all these guys. But physically dominant, yeah.
Oh man, what a dunk by O'Neal! He does it all. He is the complete package.
I mean, I think the thing that is interesting about Shaq is that he made the big man fun. He gave the big man personality. He would say he made the big man sexy. That's, not debating. I think from a marketing of self standpoint, Shaq was and still is a genius. Shaq is really smart. Shaq is funny, but Shaq also understands trends. He understands the environment. He understands how to make people laugh, how to connect. Before Shaq, big men were stoic, they were quiet, they were serious. In some cases, they were mean. He had all that side to him as well, but he had this fun-loving, jovial, entertaining mindset.
Shaquille O'Neal rocking the house.
He was a big game, big moment, big-time player. He had an ability, figuratively and then sometimes literally, to put a team on his back. And you just felt that confidence when he was on in those biggest moments during the playoffs. When some players can't reach that level, but he could go to a different level and bring everybody along with him where you felt absolutely confident that you had a chance, not only to win games in the playoffs, but immediately when he was there, you start thinking, okay, this is a title run opportunity.
Everybody knew of his dominance and the impact that he had on the game of basketball in Orlando and as well as with the Lakers. But to bring that here to Miami, we knew that our eyes was only on one thing, and that was to win it all.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Definitely Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaq, look out! He rocked the whole chin.
7 foot, 300+ pounds, muscle.
He's an absolute monster. Dominance is out of this world.
Straight taking a sledgehammer.
He was too strong. He was too big for everyone. He would dunk on you every play.
Shaq, oh, what a power move by the big guy.
You draw that charge, you'll be in the hospital for a month.
Hey, Shaq, the Diesel O'Neal.
Shaq.
Favorite 34 is Shaq for sure.
Bryant to Shaq. Andre Miller turns the corner. Wow, was that sent away by Shaquille O'Neal?
I say Shaq just because how dominant Shaq was.
He's just so dominant.
Yeah, he just dominated.
Dynamite, little right in deep, and Shaq said, get out of here, shorty.
Shaq was the most dominant force in the NBA. And 34 is always going to be Shaq for the Lakers.
It's just something about his presence. Like that number is his.
When he played, he was a showstopper, and he brought life to the arena.
Just what he meant to the game.
What he did for our game, he made it even more popular than it already is. So that number kind of just resonates with him and all the great things he was able to accomplish. And he's the number 34 that I recognize first.
Shaquille is one of the great Lakers of all time. Over a 10-year period, he was the best center in the league. That is absolutely a mark of greatness.
Shaquille O'Neal. He's a 7 foot, 400 pound,
And when I say muscle, not fat, it was 400-pound muscle that really should have been 6'2". He moved like a 6'2" guy at 7'1" with that muscle size and strength. He could break dance, he could move, he was agile. I know Will Chamberlain, I saw him, highlights, but he didn't move with the grace that Shaquille could move at that size, especially early in his career. He was unique in that sense, which made him unstoppable. And so for us, watching him, we all marveled when he walked there and we go, we would just sit on the bus at times and watch him come out after a game, the whole team, and be like, can you believe this guy? Look at him. And we just watch him walk. The whole team would do it, and we'd all marvel at him, because of his size, grace, and stature.
They cannot stop 34. Just too big, just too strong, just too good.
He really just took the lead by storm, but he did it in Shaquille O'Neal style. He was just as big off the court as he was on the court. And when he went from Orlando to the Lakers, LA just loved him.
Shaq spin. Oh, the extra move, he's down it. And he knocked David down.
To win the championships that he's won, the long career, the impact that he has had on the game.
Most physically dominant player ever to play in this game.
There's going to be people that could withstand my boom boom.
There'll never be anybody like Shaquille O'Neal, ever.
And somebody asked me the other day, oh, Shaq couldn't play today. But you're not paying attention. I am playing today. My name is Greek Freak. Who was the first big guy to take it coast to coast? Oh, you don't remember? Check this play out.
Look at the big guy run the floor.
Oh, yes. I play just like Greek Freak. Take it off the glass, high percentage shots. High percentage shots. I shoot a three every now and then, so I would actually love to play in this game. It's less physical. I would bring a little bit more physicality. I would bring my length, I would bring my athleticness, and I'd be Greek Freak. So before you say Shaq can't play in this era today, I'm already playing. My name is Giannis Antetokounmpo, however you pronounce it.
Shaq the man.
You can answer this. Who would Shaq be if he had your work ethic? He'd be the greatest of all time. If Shaq had your work, he'd be the greatest of all time. Greatest of all time by a mile. Sure. He'd be the first to tell you that, for sure. I mean, this guy was a force like I have never seen. I mean, it was crazy. A guy at that size, generally guys at that size are a little timid and they don't want to be tall. They don't want to be big. Man, this dude he did not care. He was mean. He was nasty. He was competitive. He was vindictive. I mean, I wish he was in the gym. I would have had fucking 12 rings.
There'll never be anybody like Shaquille O'Neal, ever. It won't even be close.
One of the most dominant forces I ever seen play the game. Speed, quickness. If Shaq didn't like you, like he didn't like a few of the centers in the league, he would make it his personal vendetta to destroy you.
I think in my lifetime, probably the most dominant basketball player I've ever seen. I mean, it was out of my height, weight league to try to emulate his game. I was a guard growing up and then became a forward, so I never tried to emulate my game after him. But I admire what he was able to do out on the floor, by pure force and dominance, his ability to play at that speed, to have that size and to carry that type of force that he had.
You saying Shaq? Everybody in here is supposed to say Shaq. Okay. I'm talking about the most dominant. Listen, when we played them, we could have got them, but we ran into Shaquille O'Neal in his prime, like the
Killer.
Hey from North. I never seen nobody. Man, round my way, the dudes used to call me Baby Shaq. And that was like, they didn't call me nothing, they didn't say Jordan, none of that. When they used to call me, that means a little dude, a dude at your size, dominating the game. Couldn't nobody do nothing with Shaq. Nothing. It wasn't even close.
You know, bringing in Shaq, I think with his dominance and his presence and his experience, he can help me play into late June, because that's the only reason I train. It doesn't matter who's on my team. I hope everybody has that same mentality that, hey, you know, we start in October and we don't end till June here, and if you're not ready to go for that long, then you're in the wrong place.
But as impressive as he was in college, when O'Neal hit the NBA in the fall of 1992, he would embark on a mission to become one of the most dominant forces ever to play the game.
When Shaq came into the league, he had such a great passion and enthusiasm for the game. With his size and strength and mobility, it was something we really hadn't seen.
O'Neal runs the floor, takes it all the way.
People don't understand. They swept LA. Yeah. You know how much it take to guard Shaq and try to push that motherfucker around down there?
Yeah, they ain't I ain't Shaq.
Huh?
I ain't Shaq.
Not for them. But
like I said, I ain't Shaq.
My first year we were playing, and he kept posting up, but they kept fouling him, so he kept going to the free throw line and kept missing them. And so he'd throw the ball out to me. I'm not throwing that shit back in there, right? So I kept shooting him, right? So we get in the timeout, and he's like, hey, I'm open. I'm like, okay. And so we go out, and same thing, hey, I'm open. Okay. And you know, come back in, hey, dude, you got to throw me the ball. I said, man, fuck that. Get it off the rebound if I miss, bro. You told him this. First year. 18 years old, man. 18 years old. And I must have been out of my damn mind.
His dominant physical presence made him an immovable object.
Man, it was a number of bigs that were hard to guard. Shaq was damn near unstoppable.
Here's Shaq. Look out.
He was one of the strongest players I ever played against. But the way you try to play Shaq is not physical. If you play physical, he's going to destroy you.
Man, I can't leave without bringing up Shaq. I love him so much as a person. Obviously the most dominant big man we've ever seen, ever.
When he went up and dunked on David Robinson. I thought he broke every bone in this man's body.
When it became official that this is the guy that you're going to play with, he is coming to Miami, what was your reaction?
First, my reaction, I was a little saddened at first because I knew I was losing my buddies in Lamar and Karan and Brian. But on the other end, I was very excited. I mean, I'm playing with one of the greatest players ever to play the game.
Now he's saying, you know, Shaq won it on your back. Do you think you could have won that without Shaq?
No, not at that time. No, I was young in the league trying to figure it out, so I needed somebody like Shaq to help me, you know, give me the keys and let me drive the car. So I appreciate him for doing that.
When Shaq was here last time, he said that when he goes to a restaurant, he asks the waitress how much, or waiter, how much he would like her to tip. And then whatever amount they say, that's what he will tip. Have you ever seen that happen?
Hell no. He doesn't tip like that. I mean, you're talking about the same guy. We were doing a tribute to John Glenn when he passed away, and Shaq says, I wanted it closer to the moon or LA. And we say, what do you mean, close to the moon or LA? He says, when you walk outside, you can see the moon, but you can't see LA. Yeah, so it's got to be closer to the moon. This is the guy I work with. He thinks it's closer to the moon than LA because you can see the moon when you walk outside. Well, he is very tall, so maybe to him it is actually closer. Hey, listen, I love the guy, but he's no rocket scientist. He's no rocket scientist.
He's huge, he's menacing. He really just attacked the rim.
That's a match, Jack.
And even Shaquille was impressed with that one.
Oh, what a dunk. Now, did you know Dame Lillard was going to drop your name in that Shaq diss track?
No, I didn't. That's rap battles. I ain't got nothing to do with rap battles. I don't know how to rap, but no, I didn't.
I went on Joe Budden's podcast when I was doing a press run for my album that I put out this summer, and he said, who's the best rapper out of the NBA? And I said, me. And he said, what about Shaq? And I said, people view Shaq as Shaq, not as like an artist, which wasn't a a knock on Shaq. I just think he's a major celebrity, so people looked at it like Shaq is doing music. It wasn't like he's just another artist. And I also mentioned that he was like the pioneer for athletes doing music and kind of breaking over into that and being commercially successful. But Shaq was offended by that, and he put a diss track out. So when he put his out, I just responded. And then after I responded, there was like time in between. And then I just put another one out. So, you know, I put the second one out before he had a response, and then he put another one out. But it's not like I don't got no beef with Shaq or nothing like that. It's like, he was the first one to do it, and I'm current. So we shot it out.
Shaquille O'Neal is the most dominant force I have ever seen in the history of basketball. I only got tapes of Will Chamberlain. I saw Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal at 325, 350 pounds is the most dominant force I have ever seen on a basketball court.
With Shaquille didn't have quite the same athleticism that Wilt had. He had the bounce and he had the speed, but he didn't have the endurance that obviously by the 48 minutes a night that we talked about. He had a jump hook, whereas Wilt didn't have a jump hook. He had an array of shots. He had a hook, he had a finger roll, he had a turnaround jump shot. And Shaq was a post sprinter, where he'd go down and get in the lane ahead of the crowd, and Wilt was never much of a post sprinter. He used to take his time. In fact, when he rebounded, a lot of times he'd make the guards come back to him to get the ball, so he'd be down there when the ball got to the other end of the court.
Yeah, because we're both terrible foul shooters. But other than that, Shaquille and I is like comparing me with Clark Gable. In this case, I'm Clark Gable and he's me. He plays an entirely different type of basketball game than I do. He uses his physicality, and he's a big, strong young man, and that works well in today's game. If he was facing me and other guys of my time, not so good. I mean, I'm a guy bench pressing around 600 pounds when I was at my best.
600 pounds?
Yeah, right.